Eurocup-3 returned to Portimão after a thrilling battle at Paul Ricard, with Chris El Feghali on pole ahead of Chiano Alazari for race 1. The drama would begin as the lights went out. More start line woes for Alazari robbed the Alpine Junior a chance to fight for the win, and he would emerge at the back. That left Relive taking the lead ahead of Alex Powell and El Feghali, at least until James Egozi swept around them both to claim second. The replays show not only how cruel the luck was for Chiano Alazari to lose his excellent starting position, but just how close he was to a monumental accident. It's to everyone's credit that they just missed him. On the second lap, a change of line by El Feghali caused a gentle tap on the back of Powell's car, which pirouetted him around and into the barriers. The damage would end in his retirement. More bad luck for the man from Miami. The Marshals were working overtime in Portimão, but as one of the best teams in the sport, they were on point all weekend. Bart Harrison was now ahead of Ian Eikmans, but something was clearly wrong. The Belgian was dropping back rapidly. Egozi was now ahead of Lammers and streaking away in the lead, demonstrating the progress that the Palou Motorsport team have made heading into 2026. The mechanical issue became terminal for Eikmans. Game over at the pit exit. A penalty would then drop El Feghali, now running third, out of contention by the checkered flag. A miserable start for the pole sitter. Egozi was pulling clear out in front ahead of Lammers and El Feghali, until the safety car for Eikmans' stranded car bunched up the field. It would be needed again shortly after, as Thomas Strauven tangled with his teammate Patrick Hosenroder. A bad day in Portugal for Team Belgium. As everybody knows, it's bad enough when an incident on track ends your race, but when it's with your own teammate, it becomes an even more bitter pill to swallow. The replay shows how lucky he was that he was able to escape unharmed, but it was scant recompense for Thomas Strauven, as the reigning F4 Spanish champion walked back to the pits far too early. The race resumed with Egozi out in front, and over the next few laps, he rebuilt his advantage over the Dutchman René Lammers. And with El Feghali dropping to 9th by the flag, it was Egozi's teammate Heitor de Lanyol elevated to the rostrum, and their stablemate Rafael Perard promoted to 4th. So a near perfect day for Palou Motorsport, who were now showcasing that they were the team to beat in 2026, and James Egozi was clearly their star player. Increasing his lead in the championship fight, Egozi had fought hard from back in 5th on the grid. The only thing left to do was the same again, 24 hours later. Could he claim a clean sweep in Portimão? The writing was certainly on the wall. Long faces would emerge after qualifying ahead of race 2, as James Egozi claimed his and the team's first pole position, and the 2 bonus points that came with it. It was looking effortless for the American, but there was still a race ahead. This time, Ian Eikmans would share the front row, and Palou Motorsport boys de Lanyol and Perard would be on the second, with title contenders Chiano Alazari and René Lammers back in 8th and 19th. This was going to be one heck of a fight back. At the start, James Egozi blitzed ahead of the field, with Eikmans covering second and Alex Powell storming ahead of both Palous on the second row for an almighty charge to third. The replay from the drone shows exactly how he did it. Lightning reflexes and pure determination, all part of the character and true talent of Alex Powell. This time the whole field was away cleanly, much to the relief of both the officials and the teams. But not everybody made it through lap 1 scot-free. Luca Vizaronu was stuck in the gravel, and that was the end of that. Safety car restarts were no trouble to Egozi, however, and he was now ahead of Eikmans and Powell once more. But with Alazari and Enzo Tarvanitschkull threatening some overtakes, this was likely to be an intense conflict. Thomas Strauven clearly wanted more after the misery of Saturday, and even Chiano Alazari in the high-tech was finding it tough to overhaul him. Heitor de Lanyol was in fighting spirit as he passed Alex Powell for third. And Chris El Feghali was making up for race 1 by dueling with Gianmarco Bradell and making a clean move. But then something went wrong for the Lebanese, and the Drivex driver was out. The safety car was called again, and it was probably just as well for Hosenroder and Alsi Feldman, who almost tangled at the top of the hill. Yet another race reboot for Egozi meant no change up front. But Keanu Al-Azari was on the prowl, and the high-tech driver from Dubai finally made his move on Straubing to grab P6. Then Alex Powell suffered yet more bad luck, as Perard lost his Palou and veered into the Griffincourt Star, up on 2 wheels and out. What does the American have to do to catch a break? Perard's car was too damaged to continue either. So another restart for Egozi, who is now ahead of Delagnol. But if 2026 has taught us anything, Keanu Al-Azari will go for any gap he sees, and usually it works. With him third, a podium would move him back into second in the title fight, leaving Campos and MP to battle for the scraps. Eichmanns would spend the rest of the race watching the duel for fifth in his mirrors between Straubing, Hosenroder and Pradel. The battle of the Australians would last the rest of the race, and for every move by Pradel, Hosenroder had an answer. For the fans, it was brilliant, and the fight was going down to the line. A Grand Slam is tough to achieve in Eurocup-3, but James Egozi in the Palou made it look effortless. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap, and on to his second race victory of the weekend. A maximum 28 points scored, and now a whopping lead of 34 points in the championship. It was also a historic 1-2 for the team, with Delagnol second, ahead of the resurgent Keanu Al-Azari for high-tech. The new Dallara 326 has certainly been tamed by James Egozi so far, who swept all before him in Portugal. When the teams descend on Imola in 4 weeks' time, they'll all be yearning to catch him up.